Moving on to our lessons in Chapter 13, The Age of Science and Exploration. And we are doing Chapter 13, Section 2, The Age of Exploration. And today we are in Lesson 4. And today we will analyze two primary source documents. Go ahead, have your books ready or log into LODA-USD website and open Clever, and from Clever, Cengage Learning, and log in your student account, which will lead you to the National Geographic World History book. And from the left side, you can navigate from Unit 5 to Chapter 13, and from Chapter 13 to Section 2, Lesson 4, which is in pages 368 to 369. So we recently covered moments in history, how Columbus discovers or landed in the New World in pages 366 to 367. In relation to this, we will analyze two primary source documents, one which is the journal of Christopher Columbus himself, and the other one which is a map. Just an introduction, during the European Age of Exploration, the leaders of many expeditions kept journals where they write their daily activities, in which they wrote detailed accounts of their voyages. Christopher Columbus kept such a journal. The voyages of Columbus and other explorers changed Europeans' view of the world and their maps. Now, before we take a look at the primary source documents, let's take a look at these replicas. These are not the real ones. These are just copies of the ships that made Christopher Columbus's expedition in 1492. Experts believe that these are the most faithful, or meaning the closest copies of the original caravels or ships used by Christopher Columbus in 1492. Now let's take a look at the first primary source document, which is the Journal of Christopher Columbus. So in 1492, it was lost. Then in 1790, a full copy was found in the writings of the Spanish historian Bartolomeo de las Casas. In this excerpt from the journal, Columbus addresses his sponsors, the Spanish monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella. So he discusses the directions of the voyage and how he intends to record the voyage. Now let's take a look at the actual excerpt from the Journal of Christopher Columbus. Obviously, this is translated in English. He said, "Your Highness determined to send me, Christopher Columbus, to the above-mentioned country of India." Actually, he said countries of India. "And furthermore directed that I should not proceed by land to the east, as it is customary by the westerly route, in which direction we have hitherto no certain evidence that anyone has gone. Moreover, Sovereign Princess, besides describing every night of the occurrences of the day and every day those of the preceding night, I intend to draw up a nautical chart which shall contain the several parts of the ocean and land in their proper situations, and also to compose a book to represent the whole by picture and with latitude and longitudes." Now you have to take note of his original or his intended destination, because in the constructed response in the review and assess question, what land was Columbus trying to reach, and what was unusual about his route? Okay, so moving on, let's go to the second document here. It is a map from 1513. Now, to provide you with additional context or background, in 1507, Martin Waldseemüller, he is a map maker, printed this map. This map includes full map of the world and two inset maps showing the western and the eastern hemispheres. So the map reflected the world in light of the results of the explorations of Spain and Portugal. So in creating the 1507 map, Waldseemüller likely had access to the letters of Amerigo Vespucci. It may sound familiar, who concluded that the lands reached by Columbus in 1492 were a new continent. So to honor the accomplishment, Waldseemüller used Vespucci's name and labeled the newly discovered continent, quote-unquote, America. And on 1507, however, by the time Waldseemüller created the 1513 map, he appears to have regretted honoring only Vespucci for his exploration, and the name America was replaced with terra incognita, meaning unknown land. Now let's go to the question. Constructed response. What does this map demonstrate about European knowledge of the Western Hemisphere in 1513? Now go ahead, go to our Google Classroom and answer the review and assess questions. So for this lesson, there are just two simple questions. And don't forget to fill up your last name, first name, class period, date. And of course, obviously, this super easy name, who is Christopher Columbus? And answer the questions that I just read a while ago. So let me repeat the questions. Number one, what land was Columbus trying to reach and what was unusual about this route? Number two, what does this map demonstrate about European knowledge of the Western Hemisphere in 1513? So you're basically analyzing or answering the questions. Number one, about the journal written by Columbus, an excerpt, a quote from that journal. And number two, interpreting the map that was created by Waldseemüller. So that is lesson 2.4, very short, and there are just two questions that you need to answer. And if you have not completed the previous review and assess questions, this is the time to take advantage of this opportunity to answer those questions as well, as soon as you are done answering these two questions from this lesson.